Maybe it's just this mod is broken. Yes, broken and weird in multiple ways. Oh well, we get to sit here watching a whole lot more skipping because there are fewer and fewer things to get snagged on. And I do want to see the other parts of Yuri's route that would make it good, so, you know. Yeah, I gotta commit. Gotta do the committed Yuri route. I thought I could squeeze in some other possibilities too, but some quirk of programming or whatever has just decided no. Yup. You know, a YouTuber with more integrity would cut this part. But I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. Yep. Like, do I even need to say more about this mod at this point? I feel like my thoughts on it are pretty clear by now. Like, maybe you didn't watch the whole thing, and therefore you don't know. Maybe you'll catch it in the review. But it's just, it's such a mess, dude. It's such a mess. Like, the routes are all basically the same. They're very cookie cutter. The date scenes that are unique for each person, I feel like those are pretty much the best part. And I can see why this mod appeals to other people so much, but it's like, it's such a lowest common denominator thing. It really is. It's just like generic intimacy and horror bits sprinkled in to keep people interested. While I wasn't looking, I bumped into someone, causing them to immediately drop all their textbooks. Everyone in the hallway suddenly turns towards me. I hastily turned to face who I just bumped into. It's Yuri! Oh no, are you okay, Yuri?
Oh, I'll be alright.
I looked down to see the pile of books that Yuri dropped. I'm able to recognize Portrait of Makarov among her textbooks. She really doesn't leave home without it, it seems. I'll get that for you. I bent down to pick up Yuri's books.
Sorry about that. I should really pay more attention to where I'm going.
What do you mean? If anyone should be apologizing, it should be me. I'm the one that bumped into you.
Well, I guess we both owe an apology to each other.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I'm barely able to lift up all of Yuri's textbooks and hand it to her. Jeez, how are those advanced level course textbooks?
Yep, I'm taking 3 this semester.
Poor girl. Well, I'm impressed you can carry all that.
It's a side benefit when you're taking those advanced courses. It really builds up your arm strength. Matter of fact, I'm actually on my last advanced course for the day.
Well, hey, I hope it all goes well.
Thank you, Hallie. So where are you heading off to next?
I'm heading back to my algebra class. Just got out of my lunch period.
How was your lunch?
Surprisingly, it was actually alright. I found out that I had the same lunch period with Monica. Crazy, right?
That's nice, Hallie. I just wish we had lunch together, too.
I'm sure we'll get a chance next year.
It would certainly be nice.
Well, it'd give me a good excuse to try out more of your tea.
It would indeed. I have all sorts of recipes I've been meaning to share with your club. I do think there's a select few you'd really enjoy.
She actually took the time to try to figure out what kind of tea I would like. She never fails to trying to be sweet. I'd like that a lot, Yuri.
So, I take it you're heading back to the class now?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Whose class are you in?
Saito's.
Yeah, her class is a little... well...
boring?
Yes, it's quite dull. But you learn to power through it.
I'm still figuring out how to do that.
I'm sure you'll figure it out soon, Allie.
Thanks, Yuri.
Well, I have to get to my class now. I hate to be late.
Yeah, same here.
I'll see you in the club, Allie.
Bye, Yuri.
Goodbye.
I wave goodbye to Yuri as we head our separate ways. I'm just hoping when I walk in later, Yuri doesn't suddenly confess to me or something. That'd make this day even more stressful. I guess all I can do now is just reflect on what Monica told me to ask myself. Who should I hang out with? There's the Yuri option. We finally got it. It's just so strange. Like, they would... they didn't remove Natsuki from the thing. Oh, what did we do last time? She knows, we told Monica. We're not gonna tell Monica. No, Mommy, you're not gonna know. Maybe I'm just making a bigger deal of what I saw. After all, I have no reason to not believe Yuri. I guess she was just mad that we had to get back. We were really enjoying the time we were spending together. Monica stares at me unconvincingly. well, being convinced. Well, that was the best excuse I could come up with off the fly. On the fly.
So you mean to tell me that she's upset because she had to come back here? That doesn't seem like the Yuri we know, Hallie.
It surprised me, too.
Hallie, you didn't do anything to upset Yuri, did you?
I really don't know what I did, Monica. At least I'm being honest with Monica right here. Can we just move on from this? Monica lets out a sigh.
If you insist.
Thank you.
But as long as she's all right, that's the most important thing. So Yuri aside, I need to give you my bones.
This makes me curious what would have happened if we did a Sayori route but picked Natsuki the whole way, because we actually could. But, I'm not going to bother with that. I just hope Monica isn't interrogating Yuri too hard about what just happened. Part of me still feels I should have told Monica what I saw. I just hope Yuri was telling me the truth. I still can't shake what I saw, though. What I saw, though.
I don't know why Yuri's upset with you, Hallie. But I don't want you two fighting tomorrow.
I understand. I'm sure that she'll be fine tomorrow.
I hope so. Well, if you want to talk about anything, just let me know.
I'll be sure to, Monica. Going. I'm not completely convinced that these were ordinary cat scratches, and if she's actually cutting herself and denying it, then that's a serious problem in itself. But maybe I don't need Monica's help on this. Maybe I can talk to Yuri about this one-on-one. I mean, I hope she trusts me that much. But maybe there's a skip button. Should I hang out with Yuri? Yes, finally. Yeah, sure, I'd love to go with you.
Really? That's wonderful, Hallie.
Yeah, I could use some fresh air right now anyways.
Well, I suppose that makes two of us. I can meet you by the train station if you wish. It's not too far from school.
Yeah, I can meet you there.
Great, I'll see you soon.
Bye. Yuri hangs up the call. I must admit that I'm surprised that Yuri's inviting me to spend more time with her. It's not something I would have expected given what happened in the club today, but I'm not going to pass up an opportunity to get closer to Yuri. And maybe there's a chance I can put my concerns about her safety to rest. I grab my keys and wallet and quickly head towards the train station. After roughly a 10-minute walk, I arrive at the train station. I texted Yuri to let her know why I was here, to which she quickly replied and told me to meet her at the upper platform. I walk up the stairs to the upper deck to find not too many people standing around waiting for the next train. I guess business is slow today. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Yuri sitting alone on the far bench at the edge platform, her face deep into a book. I send her a text to let her know I'm here and start walking over to the bench. I see Yuri take out her phone to read my text, but she subsequently glances over in my direction, to which she nervously turns away from my direction. I cautiously take a seat next to her, figuring she's still guilty over the altercation we had earlier. Hey, Yuri. I try to sound as friendly as possible without it coming across as forced. Yuri manages to make eye contact with me for a brief moment.
Hey, Hallie. Thank you for agreeing to accompany me.
It's no problem. I actually didn't know they were opening a new nature preserve.
Yeah, I've been following its construction for the last few years now. So as soon as I found out it was finished and it was going to be open to the public, I knew I had to go.
Is it the grand opening or something?
The grand opening ceremony was actually this morning during school. But I'm confident that it won't be nearly as crowded now given it's later in the day.
Well, hey, I'm sure we'll have a great time together.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think I've ever been to a preserve before. Well, actually, I really haven't done anything outdoorsy in years.
Well, I can assure you that you'll be in for a very memorable experience. Being able to connect with nature at your own pace in a controlled environment, just feeling the natural energy around you. It's an inspirational and exhilarating experience. Some of the first poems I ever wrote were actually about nature.
Oh, wow, really? That's awesome. Do you still have them?
Oh, they're kind of embarrassing.
I mean, how could they? It's about nature and your own personal connection with it. I mean, I have no real connection to speak of, so why would I judge you for having one? I didn't actually think you were into nature, Yuri. I think it's cool that you are.
Well, thanks, Hallie. Actually, I grew up in the country. I spent a good portion of my early years growing up there. Nobody was around us, and I learned to embrace the solitude it gave me. I guess I still retain a good portion of my lifestyle that I grew up with.
So why'd you move then?
It was because...
Suddenly, we're greeted by the sound of a train whistling by us as it slowly grinds to a halt at the station. The sound is sudden enough to make us both jump a little out of our seats as we really weren't looking out for our train. Yuri's face is bright red with embarrassment as she scavenges through her bag for the tickets. Without making eye contact, she hands me my ticket. I assume that's our train.
Yeah, it is. Sorry for acting so surprised. I should have been paying attention for the train.
It's fine, Yuri, really. I didn't even see it coming either. Come on, let's climb aboard. I stand up and offer Yuri my hand. Yuri nervously looks up. Why is she? Oh, right. Our conversation was going so well that the events transpired earlier today seemed to have slipped my mind. Yuri nervously stands up as she walks toward the train doors. I'm an idiot. I shouldn't have done that. That was too soon. Heck, she might have been mad at me had I told Monica what I thought I saw. I sighed to myself as I joined the line with Yuri. Why would she know what I told Monica? We silently show our tickets to the security guard as he lets us pass onto the train. As we board the train, Yuri immediately turns and sits on the far side of the cart, sitting as far away as possible from the other passengers who were sitting in the middle. I gingerly walk over and take the seat next to her. I kind of assumed you'd want to sit away from everyone else. Yuri simply nods her head. It's alright, I'm not being around people too much either. Why would you say it that way? Matter of fact, I've kind of spent the last few years to myself, though it wasn't exactly the most productive reasons. Still, it was nice of Siri to convince me to join the literature club. I mean, if it weren't for her, I don't think we'd be here now, would we?
I suppose. To be honest, Allie, I'm surprised you've been able to put up with me for this long, especially with how I've been acting around you today. Most people would just give up on me out of frustration. And yet, you're still here.
I guess other than the girls at the club, I've probably been the only other friend Yuri's had in a while. I mean, she did tell me as much yesterday. I can't help but feel sorry for her. Once you get to know her, she really is fun to be around, but I guess most people haven't been able to connect with her like I have. I'm just trying to be the best friend I can be, Yuri. And to be fair, I might have gotten a little carried away earlier.
It's fine, Allie. I appreciate your concern, but I really am fine. My cat got a little too aggressive when we were playing together last night.
I see. At this point, Yuri is either telling me the truth about what happened, or she's just trying to maintain a lie. I try to be subtle about the subject. I didn't know you had any pets. I don't think you've ever brought it up.
It's not something I go out of my way to bring up to people.
I knew if Sayori ever got a pet, she'd be reminding people constantly. Though, for better or worse, we've been spared of that because Sayori's parents split up a few years ago. She did always want a puppy. Still, I'm a little surprised Yuri never brought it up in any conversation we've had since I joined. How come?
Well...
Suddenly the train kicks into motion, causing Yuri to slide into me, which in turn makes us slide into the rail. Ah!
I'm so sorry, Allie. Are you hurt?
No, I'm fine. Yuri scooches all the way back to the edge of her seat, her face bright with embarrassment. How fast is this train taking off that they knocked you over? Even some of the other passengers in the car are looking on at the commotion. I quickly noticed that most of the other passengers are strapped in with seatbelts. I look down at my seat to find the buckle. I don't see seatbelts in this BG. Well, that would have been nice to know, or to have known about. Yuri, it's fine, really. Who knew they had seatbelts? Yuri awkwardly looks down at her seat to fit the strap into the buckle.
Yeah, I should have told you about that. The trains don't always stop and go smoothly.
You take the train a lot?
Yes, actually. It's how I usually get around town. I usually take the train to and from school, actually. Though sometimes on a nice day I'll brave a walk.
You live far from school?
Yes, I live all the way on the east side of town.
Oh, wow. You certainly have the longest commute out of all of us. I mean, Sayori and I live pretty close to school, so we always walk there.
Yes, I do remember your house. I was actually pretty surprised with how close you were to school.
I take it you took the train to get all the way out there. Yuri simply nods her head.
But all things considered, I did enjoy my visit to your house, Allie. Even if we were just doing festival preparations, I had fun. And I wouldn't mind coming over again sometime if you'd want me to.
What's with her? One minute she's hardly able to find the will to talk to me. Now she wants to hang out with me more. She's just been all over the place. Well, I wouldn't mind having you over again.
That's nice to hear, Allie.
We smile warmly at each other for a few minutes and unsure of what to say or do next. I decide against trying to bring up Yuri's cat again, as she was getting uncomfortable talking about the subject, and I wouldn't want to put her in a bad mood again. In hindsight, this wouldn't actually be a bad time to get some reading done. Hey Yuri, you were reading Portrait of Markov when I came over to you at the station, right?
Yes, why?
Well, I figured this would be a pretty good time to read some more. I imagine we could knock out a few chapters before we get there.
That's actually a great idea, Allie. We'll definitely have time to finish the next chapter at the very least.
Sounds good to me. Yuri joyfully opens her bag and pulls out the copy of Portrait of Markov and puts the book between us, much like how we did earlier. Oh, to not get motion sickness to reading on a moving object. We share a warm smile between ourselves as we begin reading once again. After about an hour's worth of reading, we finally reach our stop and disembark from the train. Yuri and I end up having to walk a dozen blocks to get to the entrance of the nature preserve, but considering that it was a nice day, it wasn't too much of an issue for us. We mostly spent the duration of the walk talking about the events of the few chapters we managed to read. I'm still surprised that we're almost getting close to the end of the book. It's definitely been one of the better books I've read over the last few years. After a good 20 minutes of walking, we finally reached the entrance to the preserve. I offered to pay the entry fee, but it turns out that Yuri had gotten the tickets in advance, so we were able to walk right in. I was immediately blown away with just how massive the preserve was, and it was all open space. Yuri and I opted to travel this one trail that deviated from the main path and took us deep into the preserve. As we're walking, I was sure to take in all my surroundings. Seeing how green the grass was, how clear the air was, it almost felt like heaven.
So, how was your first experience with the nature preserve going, Holly?
I love it! This is everything you said it'd be and more.
That's great to hear. I'm glad you're enjoying this experience.
Well, it helps that you're here. Yuri immediately blushes a bright crimson.
You don't really mean that, do you?
Of course I do. Yuri, it's enjoyable to be around you. You're not boring or dull or any of that. And sure, you can get carried away from time to time, but who doesn't? It happens to all of us. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I'm glad we're here together.
I see.
Yuri is barely able to compose herself for several minutes, so we end up walking in silence as we head deeper into the nature preserve. During this period, I can't help but notice Yuri sneaking several glances in my direction. At one point, our eyes happen to meet out of the blue, but instead of her looking off in her usual flustered manner, she doesn't break her gaze. Naturally, this causes me to smile at her, but with really nothing to say, we just simply maintain our silence. As we walk further into the nature preserve, we start to notice that the insects flying about through the path happen to be growing in size. At first, it started off as simple gnats and flies whizzing past us. It eventually turns into dragonflies and bees flying near us. Though surprisingly, Yuri seems to be generally unbothered. Not that I'm resentful to insects in any way. I'm just not a fan of things flying near my face. Yep, I like that. Yeah. I guess Yuri might be used to it due to her upbringing. You don't seem to mind all the bugs, Yuri.
They're harmless creatures, Hallie. They're not going to harm you. Though, I'll admit I don't care for the big insects flying near me. However, I do have an exception for butterflies.
Butterflies, huh? How come?
They're quite elegant creatures, Hallie. Butterflies are very friendly to humans. I've grown to admire them over the years. Seeing them flutter in the wind with such grace is truly a testament to the beauties of nature. It's really no wonder why many authors throughout history have used them as some form of symbolism in their work. I always did enjoy chasing after them when I was much younger.
Sure enough, right as Yuri finished talking, we see a butterfly flutter down from a nearby tree and right into our path. It's in an unusual blue and black pattern, something I haven't really ever seen before for butterflies. I guess they could have been introduced to the preserve.
My, aren't you beautiful?
Yuri outstretches her palm, beckoning the butterfly to come to her. And sure enough, it does exactly that, promptly flying forward and landing in Yuri's palm. After a few seconds, the butterfly then flutters over to Yuri's other hand, crawling down to her wrist. Yuri smiles bashfully as her newfound friend explores her arm. I haven't seen Yuri smile like that too much. The only times she's smiled like that has been when we were reading together. The only times she's smiled like that has been when we are reading together. Even though Yuri might try to apologize me later for how much attention she's giving the butterfly, I can't help but notice how incredibly cute she looks right now. The way her long violet hair flows in the wind, how the sound of her giggling gracefully echoes through the air, and how beautifully crimson her cheeks are. It's like she's a completely different person. No longer does she seem to be worried about being judged, she's just simply living in the moment. I really do enjoy this side of Yuri. I actually debate if I want to sneak a picture of her enjoying the company of their butterfly, but I didn't want to ruin the moment. Instead, I simply stand by her as the butterfly continues to hop between Yuri's arms, crawling up and down before staying still for a few moments, only to flutter over and repeat the same process again. Yuri simply giggles and smiles as she watches its movements. After a few minutes, the butterfly lands on Yuri's nose. For a moment, she's completely still, not wanting to scare off the butterfly, but the butterfly ends up flying away into the tree line, leaving Yuri brightly blushing. I guess you were right about the butterflies.
That was truly one of the best experiences I've ever had with them. It really brought back some of my childhood memories of when I used to play in my old backyard.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed yourself, Yuri.
Sorry that I couldn't really share the experience with you.
Oh, don't worry about it. I'm sure we'll run into more along the way. Besides, I didn't want to disturb the moment with how cute you two looked. Yuri's entire face immediately turns to crimson. Or, returns to crimson.
You thought I looked cute?
You always do. I guess that moment just happens to remind me of that fact.
Really?
We stand in silence for a few moments, though we begin to zone out and gaze into each other's eyes. My desire to bring her into my arms only grows stronger the longer we stare at each other. I begin to notice Yuri blushing a new shade of crimson with every passing second. With nobody around and nothing stopping us, this might be my chance to really make something happen with her. As much as the circumstances say to go for it, my conscience is telling me not to. Am I really sure I want to commit to Yuri now when I haven't decided what I want to say to Natsuki? Suddenly, Yuri seems to snap out of our trance as if she just realized what was about to happen.
Sorry. I really wasn't paying attention. It feels like something just came over me.
Well, so much for that. I try to go along with the awkward situation we've now found ourselves in. It's fine. I managed to stammer out. We're both completely flustered for a few seconds until Yuri manages to muster up enough courage to talk.
Well, we can just keep walking if you'd like. I'm sure there's plenty more to see.
Yeah, that works. Yuri and I then silently proceed to continue our walk down the path, hardly being able to make eye contact with each other.